Welcome to the Running Channel podcast. Now, I came into full bloom during a golden era of athletics. Think about Greg Rutherford, Mo Farah, Jessica Ennis-Hill. I suppose for you, Andy, was it Jesse Owens? Was it
Brilliant.
Wilma Rudolph?
Well, I don't know what full bloom means. You beautiful pink flower of a man.
I mean, I don't know what's going on.
What's the point of that little intro, Rick? What are we talking about today?
The reason we're talking about that, we're going to be talking about our running heroes.
Yeah, the role models that have, I guess, led us to where we are in running today.
Yep, so stay tuned. We're taking a little trip down memory lane today, and we're going to be covering our previous running heroes, our current running heroes, plus the latest running news and answering your questions. So let's get into it.
Oh, I've missed you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to dig deeper into you being in your full bloom.
Yes, yeah.
I feel like
2012, I was blossoming.
2012, you were already middle-aged, surely.
I tell you what, who knows when you first came into bloom, but last weekend you were definitely in bloom with your running because you ran a 5k PB.
Yeah, where did this come from?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Shall we start with the Friday night
So this was on Saturday morning, was the 5k PB?
Yeah.
So on Friday night, I went out with my friend Gennaro to a wine bar in King's Cross.
Yeah.
And
of course you did.
And we had a few glasses. You know, one of those nights where you don't know where it takes you.
Yes.
No.
Moved around a bit.
Is it like one of those nights in Paris when you turned up at a bar at 2 a.m. holding someone's hand?
This is getting so weird already.
Yeah, okay, carry on.
Honestly, when you used to tell these stories, I just used to be like, I just don't get it. But then after being in Paris with you and literally
one of those
wandering back to our hotel after dinner and just being like, oh, hi Rick, at some random Parisian bar.
Yeah, well, it's one of those nights where you end up doing something and the next morning it's like, what have I done? Why are there 6 tickets to Disney on Ice in my inbox? Which is what I bought on Friday night.
Did you actually?
Yeah. It's like,
that would be so good.
I know. But who are the 6?
Hopefully your kids.
Plus, hey, anyone listening to the Running Channel, email in, podcast@therunningshannel.com.
Do you want to come and watch
one of Rick's 5?
Disney on Ice? Yeah. So what did I do that for?
Right, so then Saturday morning, how are you feeling?
I was, when you're really perky on a hangover, I was full of energy and I was like, let's go to parkrun. Woo! I was like, kids in the car, down to parkrun. And I was on the line. I thought, don't know how this is going to go. You can normally tell in the first, I'd say, 200 meters about how this is going to go.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've run quite fast the first 200 meters. Oh, the first kilometer, that was 4:17. That looked all right. Well, let's see how the second kilometer goes. Oh, 4:15. All right. Can I keep going at this pace?
Did you make a conscious decision to try and keep pushing?
I hadn't eaten anything.
Oh my
and there's this guy called Joe who, you always, when you're on a parkrun, I always feel like you spot someone, you're like, I'm going to try and keep up with that guy.
Yeah.
There's this guy every week called Joe.
Poor Joe. He was probably running away from the smell of your wine breath.
Yeah, every week he has to deal with your heavy breathing, tracking him around the hilly streets of North London.
And he normally goes past me on the second hill, and he hadn't gone past me yet. And I thought, oh gosh, what's going on here? So third one dropped down to 4:44, and I'm thinking, well, that felt a bit tricky. But then I thought, I can probably keep going this. Then I did 4:30 on the fourth, and I went, right, if I can actually not fall off a cliff at this moment.
Which is tricky in North London because it's so cliffy.
I could actually, and then because I thought, well, let's just try and kiss the PB. Let's kiss it. Let's just kiss it softly.
Right, and let's. What is your current? What was your current PB?
It was 23:08. Right. So I thought I'll kiss it.
Yeah.
But then I'm just coming around the final corner, watching the tree stump, and I was like, I could fly over this. This could go all wrong right now. But then I was still going, and then I was just like, what is going on here? Where's the energy? I haven't eaten anything since I had a kebab.
It never failed.
Did you have a 2 a.m. kebab? Oh my goodness!
I was like, what? I just had this salty taste of cavi and kebab on my mouth.
Oh my goodness, that is a horrible mental image.
God.
And then I just came into the funnel, and then I just lay flat on the ground, and I looked at my watch, and
what did you
22:38.
So a 30-second PB. 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's the magic of...
Are you sure you didn't put your watch on someone else? What were we talking about that a few weeks ago?
I don't know what happened.
Performance-enhancing kebabs.
Yeah.
That's what's happened.
Right, well, whilst we would never advise anyone to do
No,
that
don't
if they're
do
going
it.
for a
Please
pee,
don't do it.
But
No.
apparently for you...
I was just absolutely buzzing. Absolutely buzzing. Like, literally, I just thought,
You must have been
life is great.
insufferable.
No, I was awful.
I feel
to
so
be around.
sorry for your wife and
I
kids.
just had such a great weekend last weekend. The whole weekend. I
Like,
was
even
just
I'm
flying.
annoyed, and I wasn't even there.
Yeah, I mean, you are in full bloom, so
Oh,
it's no surprise to me at all that it was enjoyable. That's incredible.
Oh, well, well
But
done.
I
Thank you, you two. Thank you.
I'm
What-
absolutely certain that it's the hard work that you put in for the half marathon. Like training hard for a half marathon or a marathon, obviously you need to recover afterwards, which you've had time to do. But then all of the stuff that you've banked, it doesn't go anywhere. You've got that extra.
You know
kind of
what
endurance.
else will have helped?
I know what you're going to say.
What else will have helped is the video that went live on the Running Channel YouTube this weekend, where you ran faster than you've ever run in your life. We did a predict your lap time challenge. Did we talk about this
yeah.
last week? Yeah, we did.
We did. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think you unlocked a new speed there.
Yeah, but that's all comes with the interval stuff.
Yeah.
Which, like, me and you doing interval training in mid 2024 consistently when I had not done that consistently before, literally has created a new pocket of enthusiasm that just pops out of
A
my
new little
well-being
bud
every
blooming
weekend.
out of your
A
stem.
new pocket of enthusiasm that pops out of your well-being.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh my God!
what's
Someone
happened?
print that on a mug.
Has anyone? I mean, actually, you're clearly too young, Rick. You might not remember it, but I know Sarah's a big Friends fan.
Oh yeah.
It's just like when Joey discovers the thesaurus.
Oh, love from Baby Kangaroo.
Yes.
Triviani. Synonyms are great, aren't they?
Yeah, it's similar when we were in Paris, actually. It was just like when Joey learns French. Rick was like, blah, 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 blah.
Je m'appelle. Je m'appelle. Mi poo poo.
I'm doing a disservice. Rick's French is very good. But
It is
Sarah,
very good.
how was your running? Because
Oh, well, I'm jealous. I wish I could be going out to parkrun right now and running a PB, but I'm not. I am trying to see the positives in what I can do, which is I can still get out and run. But I'm not training. I'm not doing fast stuff. I'm not doing hill reps. I'm back in the gym.
Yeah.
And do you want to know my embarrassing gym story for this week?
I'd love to, yeah.
So after we recorded last week's podcast, I went and saw the physio,
Yeah.
apologised profusely at the fact that I hadn't really done the exercises properly last time, said, I'm back, I've got Achilles pain again, what should I do? And he said, well,
Do the things I told you.
the exercises would be a good start. And I went, right, okay, fine. In the appointment, I was like, look, I really am going to struggle to get on a squat rack. And he was like, why? And I was like, because they're scary.
Not because my gym doesn't have one, just because the people on them are intimidating.
Yeah, but he was also, so the bar that we were using because he has like a little gym where he like tells you how to do the exercise. The bar that he used, I was like 99% sure my gym didn't have that, and they don't have that.
Yeah.
It's like a safety squat bar or something.
Yeah.
So I went to the gym and I like did the awkward thing where was I going to go and be like, oh yeah, can I jump in? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
So I went.
that's fair enough, I think.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing to do.
Terrifying. So I sat on a bench and like pretended to do some arm exercises.
Why not actually do the arm exercises?
Well, I mean, I did a little bit. But like it's a very different mentality when I'm like, I am doing a single arm bench press, but at any moment I am prepared to leg it over to a squat rack. So anyway, a squat rack became free. I went over to it. I tried my best to do like heavy weighted calf raises with the bar that I had.
Yeah.
And then just as I had got to the end of the second set out of 5, a PT walked over and was like, sorry, I need this rack for a lesson now. And I hadn't realised.
No, that's not how the gym works.
It is in my gym. There's a little sign on certain squat racks which say PT priority.
Oh, I see.
So literally,
so the PT commandeered it.
they commandeered it, and honestly, I didn't realise until that moment just how like out of my comfort zone / anxious I was feeling. And what a normal person would have done is just go, yeah, no worries, fine, gone and done something else, and then gone back to the squat racks. I left.
You left the whole gym?
Left the whole gym.
Oh,
Sarah.
I feel for
The
you.
whole gym.
Oh.
So then I came back, and it was during a work from home day, and then I had some calls in the afternoon, and I was having a call with our producer Owen, and I was like, I've had a nightmare. And he was like, well, why don't you just do it on a leg press. So I emailed the physio to check whether I could do the same exercises on a leg press. I can. I never have to use a squat rack again.
Excellent.
Happy days.
Back in the game.
Well, that's
Back
great.
in the game.
Well, yeah, and I think that you'll feel progress really quickly. You just got to be patient.
Yeah, it's just an annoying injury. But how's your running? Looks like it's going really well.
Yeah, I'm tired, but other than that, it's really good. Like I did, had a good weekend. I did a proper interval session, 16 times 60 seconds with 30 seconds recovery.
Oh, gosh.
Horrible.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was going all right.
Nice.
And then I did my longest long run for a long time, 90-minute long run, 20K, which was cold and hilly. Even hillier than North London, some might say.
Really?
Around the rolling hills of Bedfordshire.
Very nice.
Didn't stop and look at any fields.
Because how long have you got now till the half marathon?
5 weeks at the point of recording, or just under.
Isn't it mad how the end of the year is just so fastly approaching?
I mean, mad and terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my running was good. I had a really good week of running. Had a slightly anxious weekend, I would say, because very excitingly, the Running Channel Club has properly launched. We have lots of people in there now. Lovely members who've joined. So if you are interested, head to club.therunningchannel.com. There's loads of information on there. And that's been amazing to see all of the kind of messages and posts and stuff flooding in. And then after this episode, we're going to record another bonus episode, which will go in the club.
Yeah, so like nothing will change with this podcast, but it does mean that we have a lot more suggestions from our lovely club members.
Some good chat at the weekend.
I particularly dropped Rick in it because today's episode we're talking all about running role models. And so we put out a post on the club asking for who is everyone's kind of running inspirations. And I tagged Rick saying, well, it's definitely not Rick for me. But actually some people did say that you are their running role model.
Which is quite remarkable.
Callum said, unironically, Rick Kelsey, my running journey started in 2013 post ACL reconstruction. I've had years on and off from running, but Rick's properly inspirational as someone who's had it worse than me when it comes to a serious knee injury, and the fact he ran an all-time PB at Parkrun this year was properly inspiring to me. I've fallen in love again with running in a big way this year, but at the back of my mind, I've been wondering whether I could ever go as fast as I did 10 years ago.
Well, you know what? I mean, he didn't have that update that we gave at the beginning of this podcast.
You can.
Yeah.
You absolutely can.
Well, that's really nice. And that's, I mean...
I also don't think... I mean, clearly he hasn't met you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The phrase "never meet your heroes" has never been more strong. I was actually thinking about that the other day and how I think it's because I think surely it must stem from, like, hopefully if you met us in real life you wouldn't be like, oh, regret that, but surely it must be from, like, if you meet an actor in real life and you've imagined that they're the character that you've watched. So, like, for example, I love Friends so much. I never want to meet the cast of Friends, as in, like, I would, but I would just
because you'd be disappointed that they weren't exactly their character.
Yeah, but then some people live up to it. I'm not going to drop a name here, but I once interviewed...
Was it one of the 10 prime ministers that you've interviewed? Six. Oh, sorry.
No, it was...
Sorry, I thought you were older than you
It
were.
was an actor, and he was genuinely absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like you. Sorry, I did interrupt your... Like, we had a lovely message from Callum there saying that you're his running inspiration.
Well, that's very nice.
He also said that Mo was his inspiration.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you know what, though?
I'm desperate to keep the limelight off Rick here.
Yeah, no, I know, it's
He's getting very frustrated.
No, I was just going to say, lots of people do obviously message me about serious knee injuries and whether or not they'll be able to get back to running. And we always joke about what was my injury, but people always ask real specific questions about what the damage was like inside your knee and what you were told at the time compared to what the expectations of getting back to certain levels were before. And I think, you know, Callum seems to be having a bit of a tough time at the moment. And, you know, not only people who have osteotomies, but, you know, have any kind of knee reconstruction or major surgery to their knee. And, you know, everything is possible if you're told that you're not going to run again. You
I
never
think
know.
as well it's seeing the right people. We did a run clinic a couple of weeks ago with a physio, and a lot of the chat was about if you are going to go and see a physio, if you can see one that's running specific, it's so much more beneficial, because for a lot of people who maybe go into hospital for knee surgeries, like for you as well, the main focus was like, right, well, let's get your quality of life back to walking. But then you want to have that like running focus as well, if that's what you love.
Yeah, I tell you what, like a little bit of advice, that if you are thinking that you do need surgery, I mean, it depends if you're in private or public healthcare to a certain extent, but has your surgeon done that type of work before? I went to a specific surgeon, Manny, friend of the channel.
Yeah.
He told me about the surgeon who's like, this guy can do things that maybe other people can't do.
Yeah.
And even in public healthcare, you can go, well, what type of work do you do? Work on sports people. This is my aim. I want to get back to there. I don't just want to get back to, being pain free. I want to go further than that.
Yeah.
Even though that was my aim initially.
Shop around.
Yeah.
Or I mean, joking aside, I'm going to say some nice things now. Brace yourselves. You two, without it being a big running channel, love in to say that you guys are my running inspiration. I think that in the last, because I've got some other inspirations too, some other role models. But actually in the last few years, some of my most emotional moments in running have been with you guys involved. So your recent half marathon, Rick, was a very, very proud moment.
Didn't come to see it though, did you?
Hey mate, I was there.
Just payback for
Actually, is there a running moment for either of you two that I haven't been at? In the last, actually, to be fair, your 5K. Yeah. I mean, that was in Bristol. That's miles away from London.
Yeah, fair enough.
So we've interrupted.
Sorry,
your 45 minute, it's a little while ago now, but your 45 minute 10K, I had a little cry after that. I was
Did
very
you?
emotional, yeah.
Oh, so did I. I missed it by 12 seconds.
But one of the most emotional moments I've ever seen you at was actually when we first did coach 100 runners to a 10K PB.
Oh, at the Olympic Park in London.
Yeah.
Both of us had a little hug after that.
Yeah.
It was just seeing all of these people achieving, and funnily enough, this was the inspiration for the Running Channel Club, really. It was bringing a group of people together that had the same goal. On that day, it was running a 10K personal best. And it didn't matter what pace it was, because we had everyone there from lots of different abilities. But the power of that, like that shared experience is so...
Also from real people. Like what I've written down, so producer Owen asked us to write down, only I did, look, he's the model student in our notes. He asked us to write down role models that we look to for inspiration. I wrote down 2 people, but then I also wrote anyone online who gives reality rather than waiting for someone to fall off their perfect world presentation of life. Because I think if I really think about it, the people that I love following, whether that's in real life or online, are people where, they do have rubbish runs. Yeah. They do get injured and they talk about it. They do go for a PB and miss it, or they do go for goals and miss it. I love the fact where people portray it in such a real way.
Yeah, so who were yours? Who were your
So my models? 2 that I picked out were Jessica Ennis-Hill.
Superstar.
She was probably the first person... I really didn't like running when I was at school. Yeah. But I remember so clearly watching the 2012 Olympics and being like, wow, look at all of the things that she's doing. Yeah. And for me, I think the reason that I loved the heptathlon the most is because at school, I was in an incredibly sporty year. Yeah. And I was like just into the A team, or like the one person who'd be pulled up. Like I wasn't the best at anything at all, like rugby, rounders, whatever it was. But I was okay at a lot of different stuff. And I think that's what really inspired me about heptathlon is like, oh, okay, they're on an elite level. So they are phenomenal at all of those things.
They're not the best in the world at each of their 7 events, right? They're the best in the world at putting them all together.
Yeah, and you really see that kind of determination, motivation, like resilience to just all of those different factors. And I just thought it was incredible because I think in lots of the other sports, you maybe turn on the TV, watch the final, and then it's like, okay, that's over. But then it's like day 5, the heptathletes come out again. So you really can like get behind them.
We have been to the last 2 championships. There's only 2 days of the heptathlon, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just for someone emails.
Maybe she was in an advert as well.
Can I go with an inspiration that's not a famous person? Not either of you two, but is someone that Rick knows very well. So without this person, I wouldn't be running. I wouldn't have ran at the levels that I have. I wouldn't have enjoyed running throughout school. His name's Dave Wilkes. He was a history teacher at the school Rick and I went to. And he went so far above and beyond what's expected of. So he was a history teacher, but he loved cross country. And so he took us all around the country in the minibus and the coaches and stuff to race cross country. But he would produce, he obviously coached us as well and he trained us on the school field and all that sort of stuff. But every week we'd have if it was the Monday morning and we had a race that Saturday, a schools league cross country or something bigger like a national one, he'd hand us this photocopied A4 sheet of paper with handwritten incredibly detailed
Detailed
notes of
notes.
the course that we were about to go to and the timings for the weekend and all that sort of stuff.
Oh,
so he
really?
would not only he would have recce'd it like 2 weeks earlier with his dog at 6 a.m. and he would have named all of the hills.
Yeah.
He'd be like, this is, whatever. He gave different hills different names, and he'd be like, boggy underfoot. It was like a horse racing report.
Yeah.
And then he'd say, you need 12mm spikes in your cross-country spikes this weekend. Don't forget your jam sandwiches. And then there'd be like,
That's so
He was
wholesome.
he was an amazing teacher, and he continued actually to work quite a lot with the school after he stopped teaching. He
Oh, did he?
continued
Yeah.
to do cross-country events. I just remember the smell of his car.
I mean, that sounds
The
weird.
dog.
Oh,
He had a really wet dog.
What type of dog was it?
It's just a shaggy one. I don't know.
Shaggy dog. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, he and you could be on a vast cross-country course.
He was amazing.
And it
He's
could
an
be the
amazing
other
man.
side of,
Yeah.
literally kilometers away. And you could hear this booming shout.
Keep it running, Andy Baddeley.
Exactly like that. Exactly
Keep
like that.
it running, Mr. Kelsey. Anyway,
So there's all of these kind of unsung. There's all of these unsung heroes like that. Also, then my coach at my athletics club, Dave Jeffs, who's sadly passed away a few years ago. Without them, like people turning up for free, doing it because they absolutely love it, and doing things like I'm describing there, where it wasn't just like a job where you just did the bare minimum. It was almost to the point where we would laugh about how
committed.
committed he was. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm sure some people didn't even read those notes, but I did, and it made a big difference to me. So
Nice. Rick, who are your running inspirations?
Do you know what? That was really deep and really good, Andy. Well done.
brace yourselves then. What's coming next?
I'm always inspired by people who take things to the next level in an area that's not happened before. So, we all watch Sprint in the summer, which was this documentary series
it's
about
not Gabby Thomas again, is it? This is getting silly, mate.
It's not Gabby Thomas.
This is
It's
getting
not Gabby, I
ridiculous.
love Gabby Thomas,
Okay,
but it's
we
not
know.
Gabby Thomas.
Yeah.
And Sprint was obviously, and it showed about how fast running, 100 meter, 200 meter, 400 meter running has, it's become an industry where there's real dislike between certain competitors.
Yeah.
And it's like the drama around it. It's the fireworks before you go onto the track. It's, the eyes, the concentration, the dislike.
Yeah.
But then obviously what happened in the last couple of years in the 1500 meters with Ingebrigtsen and Kerr, they've taken 1500 meter running to a different level that wasn't there 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that kind of, that rivalry, that intenseness, even though I'm not a massive fan of the two individuals themselves, I love that that's something new. And then you look into the facts of their rivalry, and it's what excites me about running, I would say, at the moment. They've only actually raced each other directly head-to-head 12 times in finals,
Really? Yeah.
which is a tiny amount. Because you think about the energy and like the storm around their relationship, because they generally do not like each other.
It's probably similar as well to like when it's the drama probably that like when you get so kind of like buzzed at the end of watching something like that, then you're like, yes, I would like to go for a run. Same way if someone lines up at a marathon and there's a chance that they could break a world record.
Exactly.
You like come off the back of watching that and go,
But then all three of us were buzzing, weren't we, in the Olympic Stadium in the summer when we saw that. And then when Cole Hocker actually won the 1500 meters, it's like,
Oh my
hang on, who's
God.
this guy?
yeah.
Yeah. And what you said about not racing each other or racing each other 12 times, that's more than like Coe and Yvette is one of the most famous 1500 meter rivalries and 800 meter rivalries in history. They actually, to my understanding, because I was pretty young when they were racing, they avoided each other quite a lot. So they only really raced in the championships and so on. So because they were such big rivals that they almost kept each other apart. And that happened a lot, I'd say, in the last 20 years. There's a lot of people that would only come together in the major championships, which makes it more exciting because you've got no idea what's going to happen then. We should quickly just, we did have lots of other people mention their inspirations in running. Susie said her father-in-law, who ran marathons in the 80s and 90s, used to have 2 pints of Guinness and fish and chips the night before, and his PB was 2:32.
Wow.
And he also holds the men's Guinness World Record for the coal carrying race. He doesn't run anymore, but Susie loves chatting to him about his running days. That's the magic, I think.
Yeah.
Being able to talk to people about a different era and their approach. So it's not dissimilar to Rick's PB 5K attempt diet. The pre-night
Yeah,
diet.
maybe you should try that for the next
Yeah.
one. Emma said similar. She said, my dad, a 3-hour marathon runner in his day and still running marathons at 73, which is amazing.
And Tom says the extremely strong and devoted parkrun volunteers across the globe, making it possible for so many runners and walkers to get together on a Saturday. So true.
Oh, which
Amen to
reminds
that.
me, we're going to segue now into the news, but please do email in podcast@therunningchannel.com if you have any other inspirations that you want us to talk about, or you want us to interview on TRC Meets, because we're still putting those out. But first bit of news to talk about, if you love a park run, then the Christmas 2025 park run list is slowly being populated. So check.
What do you mean?
Christmas 25? Or
Christmas 24?
Oh yeah, Christmas 24.
This year is 2024.
Maybe it said 25. Anyway, check, basically Google Christmas Park Run 2024, and then there's a lovely table that comes up, and you can scroll down, it's in alphabetical order, to your local park run, and it will give you whether your park run is doing a Christmas Day park run. Because today, I've lost my mind.
Yeah, that's
this
good.
year, park run is on a Wednesday.
No, parkrun's
Or
not.
a
Christmas
Thursday.
Day. Christmas Day is.
Oh, you know what I mean? Essentially, Christmas Day isn't it a weekend, but you can run a park
Run
run
on a Christmas
it.
Day.
So there's a
I know what
list.
you're saying. Yeah.
And it
Tried
either
to do
has
such a brilliant
It either
segue.
has a little tick or it has a little cross, and basically, my local one is. Does yours? Check it out. On with the news.
News time. Welcome back. We've talked too much about parkrun, but
we're
we're going
back
to
to it
talk to
again.
you about it again.
Yeah.
So recently, the park. Actually, why am I even trying? Andy, go.
So not that long ago, parkrun actually kind of removed their records, and so world records and so on aren't necessarily a thing. But people are keeping a track of what the fastest ever times are at parkrun. And an incredible run happened at the weekend when Nick Griggs, who's 19, set a world's best time of 13 minutes and 44 seconds at Victoria Park in Belfast.
Incredibly fast.
Yes.
But only 4 seconds faster
Than you.
than the record you set 12 years ago.
Yeah, in cardboard shoes on trails.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
You're still the winner in our eyes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And let's talk about these 35 para athletes who are going to receive funding for 2025. This is good news as well, because the UK government also announced that there would be a 10% increase in the funding for para athletes in the lead up to the Los Angeles Games in 2028.
Now, Andy, you had lottery funding.
Yes.
What is it? How does it work?
So people who buy tickets for the National Lottery every week, a proportion of that money that's raised goes towards funding good causes in a particular sport. So that was a big thing that happened, I think, in the 2000s, where that was how we decided as Team GB we were going to fund our pursuit of medals, particularly pushing towards 2012. And how it works is that roughly this time every year, there'll be an assessment by all of the different sports of which athletes are going to qualify for funding. And in athletics, there were different tiers of funding. So broadly, if you were top 8, like you'd finished top 8, like made a final at an Olympics or a World Championships, then you qualified for the second highest level of funding. The highest level was if you'd got a medal already. And then there was a third level of funding, which was kind of, you were almost there, but not quite. So it was a potential funding. And each of those received a different level financially of funding. But then the most high profile athletes that made lots of money from sponsorships and race winnings and stuff like that, they would be means tested out of the lottery funding. So if you didn't need it, then you didn't get it.
Got it.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Do you want to know what question that sparked in my mind? This is how my brain's working today. If either of you won the lottery and had won 10 million, I don't know how much it is each week.
Yeah.
Would you ever get to the stage where if you had enough money, you would build a running track in your back garden?
No.
Would you not? Oh, see, I would have banked on you saying yes. There's no way Rick would.
No.
He would have an entire swimming pool sized hot tub.
Yes.
I don't know. I love the track, but now as I'm older and stuff, I'm not as interested in. And it takes up so much space, doesn't it?
Sorry, more fun question then.
Yeah.
Would you build a cross-country track?
Yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
That would be
I'd
quite
build
fun.
if I had the land and the grounds to have a sort of manicured trail.
I'd build a vineyard.
But you could have beautiful landscape running trails through the vineyard.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
All right, go on
Anyway,
then. Some questions,
questions.
Rick.
Question time. Daniel, who's from North London? Tricky. Must be tricky. Hard training out there. Hi, guys.
Out there.
Out there in the
How long
wilds
did it
of
take
North
you to
London.
get in?
20 minutes.
God's sake.
Hi guys, I started running 2 months ago. Oh, hello. And have completely caught the bug, reaching distances and places I never thought I'd be able to achieve. I'm now planning to do my first half marathon in May next year. Gosh,
Nice.
that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, quick escalation, Daniel.
Love it.
The only caveat is that all my runs so far have been on a treadmill.
Ooh.
There are a few reasons why I haven't run outside yet. Firstly, I live in North London, which is, as you know, very hilly.
Come on, everyone.
I love this.
Let's stop
we can-
feeding this nonsense.
Yeah, we can let Rick be stupid, but
Thank you, Daniel. More seriously, I also feel quite self-conscious about running outside, and I'm worried I won't be able to keep up the paces that I've ran on the treadmill. Please, could you give some tips for runners moving from treadmill to outside? I started listening to the podcast and watching the videos in the last few weeks, and it's really helping me. Do keep it up.
thanks, Daniel.
Oh, that's lovely. I reckon we'll have some cross people though. If Daniel's only been listening and watching the podcast for the last few weeks and he's got straight in with his question being answered already, Producer Owen's going to have some questions to answer.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with us. My advice would be don't worry too much about the paces.
Yeah.
And if you are going to be racing a half marathon or running a half marathon, then the best advice would be to get used to going to running events, and maybe that might help. Like if you go to a kind of a small local one at the moment,
Start with a park run or something.
yeah, start with a park run and then just see what it's like. It will feel different, but I feel like you'll be in maybe like you've got it a good way round, because I say most people absolutely adore running outside, really find it difficult to transfer over to a treadmill. Whereas if you love the treadmill and you can run outside as well, happy days when it's raining.
Yeah, the big difference will be the thinking, the like psychology of it. You can just set a treadmill to a speed and stop and just run. You don't have to think about it at all. So Sarah's right, don't think about the pace at all. Get outside, just go for a run. Try and hold yourself back probably.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, perhaps have a look at how far you've covered or how fast you're running. I wouldn't be like constantly clock watching.
No.
I would just give it a go because it will feel really different. Some people, I actually find it way harder to run on the treadmill, and my heart rate is higher and my paces are slower for the same heart rate on the treadmill. Other people, the treadmill, because it is doing some of the work for you, you can make that argument that like the belt is pulling you a little bit. Some people find it way easier. Just depends on the type of running style that you have, and also there's a mental aspect to it. So you won't know which of those you are until you get out there and do it. But you do need to do it well in advance of the half marathon, because I think otherwise that would be such a big shock to the system to do everything on the treadmill and then try and run 21k out on the road. That'll be a challenge for sure.
The first step is the hardest.
You're very profound today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what happens when you get to the full bloom of life.
Right, one more question.
Well, it's more of a comment. It's from Jacob. Love the channel. I stay for the banter, but your comment that golden syrup is elite on porridge has gone too far. Have you ever heard of maple syrup? The official order is maple syrup to honey to golden syrup.
So golden syrup's
No.
the bottom of that pile, no chance.
Correct.
Golden
No,
syrup
no,
is,
no,
the,
no.
is the elite. Golden syrup's at the top.
And to prove I'm not nuts, it's sock, shoe all the way. Love the pod, Jacob.
Okay, he's pulled it back at the end there.
you saved yourself a little bit, but let's get one thing straight. Honey is last.
I agree.
In whatever race you're doing. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
know people love to go crazy at a hotel buffet when you see the whole honeycomb and you scrape it down and you go down.
yeah.
You literally get golden syrup out of a bottle, and I will agree.
Well, I will going to come in here though. Golden syrup out of the original green metal tins is vastly superior to the squeezy one in the bottle.
Okay, yeah, no, that is elite. Yeah, but am I, in the morning when I have 10 minutes to down my breakfast, am I getting a knife out to like...
Yeah, you must be
Pop
really pressed
open
for
the
time
tin.
in the morning actually, because of all of the children that you have to get to school and get ready. Is that right?
That's true.
Hey,
yeah.
you decided to have those 10 children,
No, but
don't you?
what do you have to do in the morning?
I have to get up.
What
Yeah.
do you have
I
to
have
do?
to decide whether I'm going to shower.
Clearly decided not to today.
I have to decide.
That was such a good noise.
I have to.
I mean,
That was like people
marvellous.
smelling
Thank
you
you.
at parkrun on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Woo! He's been out
Stay
last
away.
night. Yeah, rude. But I don't have a leg to stand on.
No.
But yeah, I mean this.
I do love maple syrup, though.
Maple syrup is elite. It's just I feel like in the UK maple syrup is frowned upon.
It's not frowned upon. It's harder to find, isn't it? Because it's expensive as well.
But I think that's why it's frowned upon. However, I did get a lovely DM from someone that said if I don't like honey, then I should try agave nectar or agave syrup. 'Cause
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like honey, but a bit sweeter. So, Jacob, if you could email back in and let us know where that comes in your silly little list.
Savage. Hey, Jacob, I'm here for you, but I don't agree.
I don't agree. But hey, look, we all agree maple syrup is fantastic. But golden syrup will be firmly staying on my porridge.
I'm spending a bit more time with Andy this week. Sarah, did you know that?
Are you?
We're doing TLC meets together.
Yes,
Andy doesn't normally get to do them.
No, you don't normally let me, do you?
Well, because you made a bit of a snarky comment to me a couple of weeks ago. You went, just wondering, could I do a meet sometime? I was like, he's the CEO.
Yeah.
He's the boss. So, he's doing one.
Not on this podcast.
No, absolutely not on this podcast.
But
brilliant.
really exciting TLC meets this week.
Yeah.
I'll be up in the Lake District, so I'll fill you in on that, how that goes on Monday.
Oh, business or pleasure?
Pleasure.
Oh, great.
Going to try and get a run in somewhere flat.
You're going to shower?
I'll see.
We'll find out on Monday.
It depends how rushed for time I am.
Lovely.
And we
Right
will
then.
see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.